The water here is cold, fast, and packed with nutrients, which is exactly why God's Pocket might be hiding the rarest fish in the Pacific Northwest.
Hey adventurers, and welcome back to BC Adventures. I'm Ryan Swan, and today we're diving God's Pocket.
Jacques Cousteau famously called God's Pocket Marine Park and its nearby Browning Pass on the northern tip of Vancouver Island one of the best cold water scuba diving destinations in the world. And once you see it, you understand why. The architecture of this place, the walls, the channels, the way the current funnels through, in every single surface, drowning in life. This is one of the most vibrant, most densely packed marine environments on the entire planet. But we're not just here for the reef. Somewhere in the kelp beds growing just above these walls lives one of the most elusive fish in the Pacific Northwest, the Rock Greenling. I've seen exactly one my entire life. One dive out at Otter Point. Today, we're diving two of the best sites in Browning Pass, Seven Tree Island and a site called Tart, also known as the Rock of Life, to see if we can find it again. We're on a boat now, gearing up, God's Pocket Resort fading behind us as we head out to Browning Pass. There's a certain kind of quiet that happens before a dive like this. Everyone's going through their own routine, checking gear, going over the plan one more time, but you can feel the anticipation building underneath it. I've got a few dive buddies with me on this trip, but Monica Moez is the one who set the tone before we even got in the water. She wasn't just hoping we'd find the Greenling out here. She had already decided we were going to. That kind of determination has a way of rubbing off on everyone else on the boat. The water here runs cold, but even from the surface, you can already see it. The color, the life, everything this place is known for. Two dive sites ahead of us. One fish we're hoping to find. Let's get in the water. We drop in at Seven Tree Island first, and almost immediately, the dive plan goes out the window. We're supposed to be looking for the Greenling, but the wall takes over. Glove sponges, red soft corals, yellow and orange sponges stacking up on top of acorn barnacles, short plumose anemones crowding in everywhere there's space left. It's not a reef, it's a carpet. Every inch rock buried in something alive. China rockfish tucked in the ledges. Irish lordfish sit so still against the rock, they're almost a part of it, until they're not. And everywhere we look, decorator crabs, covered head to claw in sponge, doing their best impression of the reef itself. And we never even looked for the Greenling. Therefore, no complaints. Some dives, you don't chase anything. You just let the wall do the talking. Near the end of the dive, something smaller catches my eye. Anemones clinging on the stalks of kelp and clustered around their base. Dozens of babies. Tiny copies of the parent, all crowded in together. Those babies I found aren't unusual for the species. That's the whole strategy. Brooding anemones can carry up to 300 young at once, clustered around the base in rows, sheltered under the parent's tentacles until they're big enough to survive on their own. Then they let go and crawl off to claim their own patch. Nobody seems to know for certain why it's called Seven Tree Island. The story divers tell is simple. At some point, there were 7 trees standing on it. Whether that's history or just something that's stuck, nobody can say. Count the trees today and you won't get 7. Back on the boat, gear off, heading back to the resort. The dive was everything Seven Tree Island is supposed to be. The wall delivered. Color, life, all of it. But no Rock Greenling. Not even close. Thinking it over on the ride back, it starts to make sense. We spent the whole dive on the wall. Therefore, of course we didn't find it. The Rock Greenling doesn't like to live on the wall. It lives up in the kelp, in the shallows, right where the surge is the roughest. So tomorrow, we're going to do this differently. We'll be sure to spend more time in the kelp beds. The question is whether, will it be enough?
Good morning. We're here at God's Pocket, and today we're heading out to a dive site called Tart, or the Rock of Life. And this site's supposed to bring all different kinds of life growing on the wall. And the one kind of neat thing about this site at the top in the kelp beds is a rock greenling. There's only so many rock greenlings around here in the kelp beds, and this site gives an opportunity for divers to look for one. I really enjoy the hunt for the greenling itself, because they're not super common in a lot of places scuba divers go. So having that opportunity up here at God's Pocket to have a dive where we can go look for one of those rock greenlings is going to be really, really fun.
Butter tart. Some call it the rock of life, and once you're in the water, you understand why. It might be my favorite dive site in Browning Pass. Though honestly, that's a hard thing to say with certainty out here, because every wall in this pass is somebody's favorite. The color hits just as hard here. The reef is packed just as thick. Glove sponges, soft corals, barnacles, and anemones all fighting for the same square inch of rock. But butter tart has its own personality. There's density to it, a stillness in some corners and chaos in others that makes it feel different even when the cast of characters is nearly identical. And once again, decorator crabs everywhere. But this time, one catches my eye. It looks like it's wearing armor. These crabs are covered in sponge, and that's not an accident. Decorator crabs have hooked bristles on their shells that worked almost like Velcro. They pluck sponges, algae, even small anemones from the reef and fasten them right to their own carapace, turning their disguise into armor. Moving off the wall now, the reef starts to shift underneath us. A whole school appears out of nowhere. Black rockfish, dark, thick-bodied, built for cold water and rocky structure. They're one of the more common sights along this whole coast, holding tight to reefs like this one, sometimes right near the surface, sometimes deeper down the wall. By the end of the dive, we push into the shallows, into the kelp, exactly where we said we'd be. Nothing. We move through one bed of kelp, then another. Surge pushes us back and forth with the swell. Monica is right there beside me, and it's clear she hasn't let go of what she said on the boat. It's not just looking, she's hunting. Methodical, patient, refusing to come up empty. We're almost out of time on this dive. One more pass through the kelp, and then there it is, tucked in the stalks, blending into the color around almost perfectly, the rock greenling, the fish I've only ever seen once in my life, and Monica just found it on pure stubbornness. The rock greenling can grow up to 2 feet long, though most are closer to a foot or so, long, slender, built to disappear into the rock and kelp. Its coloring is where it earns its reputation. Shades of green, blue, yellow, and even red blended together. Sifting with the light, camouflaged almost perfectly against the reef it calls home. This right here, off northern Vancouver Island, might be as good as it gets anywhere on the planet to see this fish. And still, most divers will spend their entire lives underwater and never see one. We just did, but we're not done yet.
Pretty good? All right, look at that. Got to get some butter tarts here.
Oh, there's cheese.
I just say grape. So if you're diving butter tart, you have to eat a butter tart. This butter tart is delicious.
One more day, one more shot at Seven Tree Island. Word gets around fast on a dive trip like this. Other divers have had luck finding rock greenlings here, working in the kelp on the far side of the island. If they could find one, we figured we could too. So this time, the crew dropped us on the back side of the island. We could have just parked ourselves in the kelp for the whole hour. But Seven Tree Island isn't just a greenling site. Aside from the fish, it might be one of the best cold water dives on the planet, period. Skip the wall entirely, and you're missing half of why divers fly in from all over the world for this exact stretch of water. New drop point, but the plan stays the same. Wall first. That density hits us again. That overwhelming carpet of life we found on the first pass here. Glove sponges, soft corals, barnacles, anemones. Seven Tree Island giving us everything it's known for. All over again. Even from a different side of the island. But this time, we don't linger. Into the kelp beds. Last time we were here, it was the brooding anemones that pulled our attention away. Easy to happen. With everything this reef throws at you, this time we're sticking to the plan. It doesn't take long. Kelp beds, and there, barely a second, maybe two, a shape goes through the fronds and vanishes. Female, most likely. Greener brown than the male. Quieter coloring and gone before we can even react. That's a rock greenling behavior in a nutshell. Blink and it's back in the kelp. But this one let us in. Darker brown, almost chocolate toned, with blue spots scattered across its body and a flash of red along the underbelly. Even a hint of yellow mixed in if the light hits them just right. And right above the eye, that small fleshy cirrus, the eyebrow that separates the rock greenling from its cousin, the kelp greenling.
There we go.
3 dives, 2 of the best cold water dive sites on the planet, and 1 fish that almost got away from us more than once. We came to Browning Pass chasing a rumor, a fish so rare in years of diving, I'd only ever seen one once. We leave having seen 3, a determined dive buddy who refused to give up in the shallows, a fleeting shape that vanished before we could even process it, and one that led us close. But if I'm honest, the rock greenling was never really the whole story. It wasn't even the reason we dove Seven Tree Island and Butter Tart. But we found one along the way which made these dives stick with us. Glove sponges stacked on soft corals. Decorator crabs dressed in armor. A mother anemone guarding a few hundred babies on a single stalk of kelp. Cold water, fast currents, relentless color. Everywhere you look. Jacques Cousteau called this place one of the best cold water dive sites on Earth. After this trip, I believe him completely.
As I gaze out upon the blackness of the inky water, I contemplate the eternal mystery of the deep. Sometimes it can steal a man's reason if you go too far.
This is exactly why we dove this. Not just for the fish everyone's chasing, but for everything else this water hands you along the way. If you're patient enough to notice it, and if God's pocket is any indication of what's coming this season, we're just getting started.
And we'll see you next time on BC Adventures.